onto this computer. Right, we're pressing record, which is always a good start, Craig. And we can hear everyone. Hey, folks. Hey, folks, what are we drinking tonight?
I am drinking a bottle of San Miguel.
I've got my hometown brew, the Moosehead Lager.
G&T, someone's got to bring a little bit of class to this conversation.
Thanks for that, Becca. In case you don't know, I'm Steve Pritchard. That was James Bailey on the San Miguel, Craig on the Moosehead, and the ever-rolling eyes of Becca Kingdom on the G&T. Welcome to what we're tentatively calling the Pink Tron, because we couldn't think of any better names. We didn't really want to bore you with our voices for 2 hours on some of the ridiculously long routes that James has chosen for this year's HSRL. So we're just going to chat on a podcast for 10 to 15 minutes, see if you like it. So James, tell us, what is HSRL? What's it all about? What are the rules? How do I play?
So Herd Summer Racing League is a 12-week series where your best 10 results count. We have 12 races, which are either short, long, flat, or hilly. And the main premise of these races is that you score points for the sprints and the climbs. So as an example, if there are 4 laps and each lap has a sprint and a climb, you'll have 8 opportunities to score points. So you will score points on the sprint and the con, and you will also score points on your overall position. So loads of opportunities to score points, and each race will be different. And I'm sure, like, sorry, someone cut in.
Yeah, we will do, and I'm sure, like James has there, I'll run out of steam on most of the races. Becca, what's your favourite element of HSRL? Like we said, it's points-based racing. You get points for doing the primes or the King of the Mountain or the sprint segments really quickly, and you get points, some points for finishing high up in GC. What are you going to target? Are you going to target both? Why do you like this league?
To be honest, this is the first time I've actually been in A. Last time I raced HSRL, I was in C. It was a lot different. And I pretty much just targeted the cons and the overall. This time around, I'm not sure I've got a chance with any of it. So yeah, we'll just give it a go and hopefully end up somewhere middle of the pack, maybe not quite last.
And Craig, what about you? What are you looking to do this year at HSRL?
So I absolutely love the format. And it's just, it doesn't matter if you get dropped, you still have something to do. And that's, so it's, I love it. It's, you're not really quite sure what happened when you finish, and that's actually kind of fun. But I think I'm gonna keep racing B as long as I can. I'm actually thinking that given that I didn't make my my March deadline, I'm probably not going to get to A until next winter. So I'm gonna race B and see how it goes.
I'd really like you to go to A's, Craig.
I know you would.
As someone who will finish at the back of B's, I'm quite looking forward to people moving up into A's. James, we're in Bologna this week, aren't we? TT route. Why did you choose this one?
We are indeed. I chose Bologna because I thought it'd be a really nice opportunity to have basically an entry course, a prologue, where people get to like thrash the living donuts out themselves for about 15 to 25 minutes and see how they get on against their category. So slightly differently to Craig, I'm really, really close to A. So I decided that I would enter in category A. Having looked at the times of the first race tonight, I'm absolutely guaranteed to finish dead plumb last.
Someone is regretting their decision already. How many seconds off your PB have you got to do to finish not last in tonight's A's, James?
90.
90.
Becca, you're the scientist here. As a percentage of his PB, what are we looking at there? I'm going to guess 5 to 10%.
Yeah, I can't do maths when I'm drunk things, but yeah, I would guess that's fairly substantial. And to be honest, if tomorrow goes terribly, I'm just going to give up on HSRL. So, of course, James. I'm sorry.
What are you going to ride instead, Becca?
Outdoors.
Oh God, I miss the outdoors. The outdoors is lovely, isn't it? I still am slightly afraid of it. Craig, talk to us about your tactics then. So what are you going to go for? We got Bologna. It's basically that test we do. I've forgotten the name of the test. You know, that fitness test, ramp test thing that Zwift makes you do. Is that how you're going to target it? Just go all out?
So my basic race strategy for every race ever since I started racing is to go out way too hard and then try and hang on. So
Is that the
attempt not to
BMXer
die.
in you there, Craig? You're just going to flat out of the gate. You've got that nice downhill start. You can be resting up against that metal thing that drops down.
Yeah. No, in reality, I'm going to try for right around FTP for the flat, and then accelerate.
Oh, cool. So a lot of people talk about doing over-unders here, don't they? So you do 95% on the flat,
Yeah.
6Ks, and then you've got 2Ks up on the climb, and we try and go harder. I've never got this right. I've done the 95% bit really, really well, and then I don't really remember the next 9 minutes.
And I think that's right.
I'm pretty sure I get it wrong
you do
every
it last
time.
time, Craig? Are you going to do it any different? Because to be fair, watching you last time, I was quite concerned that you might have died.
I was fairly certain Craig had died for a whole 8 minutes.
Why was that though?
He just stopped and went silent on Discord, like he just.
I mean, Craig not making sound happen isn't the new thing though, isn't it? We don't worry his side every time the sound happens. So no near-death experiences this time. What bikes are we thinking about?
That new Canyon has got to be the TT bike of choice.
Canyon Speed Max +2.
Yep, I think me too.
There's a lot of talk of people doing bike swaps at the bottom of a hill, which will ultimately cost 10 seconds. So people doing TT to start the hill and then quickly switching to a climbing bike. Personally, I think that's an entirely waste of time, and you're going to shed seconds doing it.
Yeah, those people are wrong. You shouldn't change back.
Agreed.
I love this idea of doing a 10-second bike change. My bike change in a race experience would be so much slower. You know, get off bike, realize my new trainer is 3 inches higher off the ground, so wonder about how I'm going to get off the bike. Then realize I don't know the magic keyboard shortcut to get to the garage. So Google what's the key to get into the garage. Then realize that the bike has just stopped in this time and I could have just pressed menu and got to the garage that way. Forgotten which bike I'm going to ride up the hill, get back on the bike, pedal, realize I'm still in the pairing screen. So yeah, it's about a 2 minute 30 experience for me, any bike change. But kudos to those who go for it. I'm also going to go for the Canyon bikes. I've just Googled it on Zwift Insider while we're chatting, and it knocks 3 seconds off the next fastest time in Tempus Fugit, the Cervelo P5X, if anyone's interested. I'm never too, how much credence do we give to this whole any bike's faster than the other? I mean, I think Eric tests at 300 watts, doesn't he? And 80 kilos, I think is his benchmarking for this one. So, how much do we trust these numbers?
He used to do 300 watts and 75 kilograms, which quite conveniently is now me.
You've bought the same drill Eric's got?
I do have the same drill as Eric, whatever his name is.
I'm fine, thank you, Craig. So no, it's 3 seconds, isn't it, over a 50-minute course? Do we really think it's making any difference, or are we doing this just to have some different pixels / something to blame when we go up the hill?
Every second counts. I want all of those 3 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say like 3 seconds is actually quite a big deal. That could be like 2 or 3 places in a race. So 3 seconds, yeah, I'll absolutely take it.
So I'm more on the
long flat course as well. So
yeah. So I come in on the. I'm not sure it makes any difference, but any excuses I can load up ahead of time, I'm all for.
Oh, dear. So that's the bike ride. I think we're all agreed there, aren't we? I can't raise a dissenting voice. Much as I love my pink Tron, I'm also going to ride the Canyon because I want those 3 seconds as well. And so yeah, no dissenting voices. We're doing Bologna. We're all going to ride it the same way. So this is incredibly dull. Next week will be more fun, where we talk tactics and I talk about what I'm going to entertain myself with while I ride around on the back on my own. But yeah, this week everyone riding on their own. So no poor Steve doing that. We're all going to go out fairly close to FTP, and then we're going to go a bit above FTP, as much above FTP on the uphill bit. It's quite a straightforward course, this one, isn't it? So a nice one to bed us in, and we're all agreed on that bike. What level? I think it's level 31, is it? Looking at you folks, in case you know, I've got the Google page open, and I'm
I want to say
slightly too fiddled
26.
to read. Yeah, it's not a particularly high level one. It's no disco wheels. What were they, level 45 or something? So I'm actually we were going to talk about what else is on, but I actually want to talk about the fun thing. So what has pissed us off about Zwift this week, as we will call this segment. So Craig, what's the thing that's annoyed you the most about Zwift or the world of Zwift this week?
So obviously Zwift Racing League and everything being released at different times than it was said it was going to be released.
So what's happening with Zwift Racing League? I've seen loads of Facebook notifications. I'm going to get an email. I then have to click on a thing where I click on another thing, and I might get a link, and that's how I sign up. And I'm just playing ZRL. You're organising all the captains and everything for the herd, aren't you?
Well, I don't know what organizing. I'm at least throwing names at people and hoping that they manage to get them into a team. But no, it's so yeah, it's interesting, this new wrinkle where each team can only have 12 riders. I don't actually think any of our teams had more than 12 riders ride for them in season 1 or 2 anyway. So I don't think it's a big deal. But I know me personally, I can now only ride for 2 teams across all the time zones instead of riding for this team at 2 in the afternoon and this team at 10 o'clock at night. And so that's going to put a little crimp in my style. Yeah,
I think it's actually quite harsh on the people who work more flexible hours or like us, just nerds and have ridden lots of different time zones, aren't they? So in Eastern, you sit across quite a few of the time zones. You can do EMEA and APAC probably quite reasonably. No, I wouldn't have thought you'd do APAC. APAC will be really early. You'll do.
Oh no, I'm doing APAC.
Oh, blimey. You're just nuts then, Craig. So we could do APAC and EMEA, and if we were nuts, we could do the midnight ride. So there's kind of 3 options here in the UK, and you could do APAC. At what time would APAC would be? Something
5:30 in the morning.
Oof. I mean, that is doable. That is a time that some of us have once gone to bed.
Yeah.
So, but staying up that late to play Zwift, no, that's
yeah. So for me, it's APAC is 5:30 in the morning. The EMEA is through the afternoon. 7:45 p.m. for America's East and 10 p.m. for America's West, which is late but doable.
So you've got a whole spread. So there's a lot of rides you could go in. Unlike, and let's shamelessly promote the HSRL, James. There are 7 different time zones or different events you can take part in every week in HSRL, and some of us might even know some of the times. One of them happened today.
There are indeed. In terms of UTC, we've got 6 o'clock and 9:50 on Friday. Then we have 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 7 p.m. on Saturday, and then midnight and 1:30 p.m. on Sunday.
Cool. So it's 7
Nobody knows
opportunities.
What UTC is, James. Just move on to British summertime.
It's what GMT used to be before people decided that they weren't allowed to call it GMT any before. It made more sense, but there we go. That's my incredibly Anglo-centric view on time zones there for you, Craig. Why doesn't the world bend to our will anymore? Because we're a small nation that's getting smaller. That's why, folks. So, Becca, what's annoyed you about Zwift this week and Zwifting? Is it the fact that the weather's actually nice and you want to be in the outdoors?
I did go outside today, and I will go outside tomorrow and Sunday. because it's nice and sunny. Honestly, nothing really, other than I still can't get used to the drafting when doing a TGT, and I still seem to spend the entire time in the middle of the road and getting absolutely no benefit and putting out 0.3 watts a kilo more than everybody else. But I have a feeling that's probably just me.
Yeah, I listened to Zwiftcast about this, and it made me none the wiser, I'll be honest. But they did seem to suggest it highlighted people who weren't very good at using the sticky draft in pace lines, which I hadn't realized was even a thing. That people were deliberately using the sticky draft to make sure they rigidly stayed in the pace line, like the top teams. So that just goes to prove that I make this shit that nobody watches, and I don't watch the other shit that people make that I probably should watch about Zwift. So there we go. Any other experiences in the sticky draft? I've not ridden it. I've only ridden 2 or 3 times since the update, so I haven't really noticed the difference. I get dropped very early. It still happens.
So I haven't seen a huge difference. I mean, I see different things happening on the screen, but I don't really find a huge difference. Really, the only thing is I find the back of the pack gets fragmented a little bit earlier, and you just have to watch a little bit more to bridge. But that's really, other than right there, it seems pretty much the same. And actually, it almost seems like when you come up on a rider and pass them relatively quickly, it actually seems smoother than it was before.
Are you just trying to say I suck, Craig?
No, you're putting out 0.3 watts per kilogram more than everyone else because you weigh 2/3 of a person.
I mean, I don't know whether, having not watched in TTT, I don't know whether that's the problem. I actually, kudos to Zwift. I think they have actually fixed something here that I used to get hammered by the sticky draft at my 68 kilos that I would curse it. And I noticed at Crit City last weekend, actually overtaking people. I'd be riding up to them and I'd be like, I'm going to have to bump up Watto. I'm going to get stuck, aren't I? And the bike would start turning, like changing track and going around them, which was lovely. I still did then get dropped. Can't say that. Still now, a week later, on a bend on the flat, which just shows me being dopey on Zwift more than anything else. But there we go. Right, James, let's go to you. What's annoyed you about the world of Zwift this week?
I think having to submit 18 different change requests to move all of our events an hour earlier.
And, I mean, the counterpoint to that is, why did you bother?
So obviously daylight savings occurred. We sprung forward an hour. So I had to move all of our events back an hour to make sure they all happened at the same time. And then being told by my the guy that like normally does all of the event stuff for me that I could have just told him and he'd done all of them for me.
So I don't know if you're annoyed. I don't know who you're more annoyed at, your handler, as it were, we'll refer to him now, who's told you about a thing that you could have just done that you spent hours doing, or the fact that you spent the hours doing it. I'm not too sure which you're more annoyed at now.
I'm fairly certain if I hadn't done all of the 18 change requests, he would have told me to do all the 18 change requests. But now I've done them, he told me that I didn't need to.
That sounds like a classic civil service solution to these kind of things. I'm going to tell you what annoyed me, because I can. At this point, I shared this in the build-up before we pressed record, but it's how annoyed people get at Zwift doing an April Fool. So the buggy bikes yesterday, there were people horribly irked by that. And how dare you change my bike? And just, actually, I do feel sorry for Zwift when they genuinely try and do stuff. So people were a bit like this about the boost mode. Like, they put it in Crit City, they put it in beta mode. They said, hey, this is the thing, we're just trying it. Like, it's out there, we're having a play. And the community goes nuts. People go off their head crazy about, what are you doing with my experience that you're changing? And it's like, well, they're probably the same people who shout just as loudly that they hate Zwift and there aren't things they like about it. And it's like, well, if they don't just change things, they're not going to find out what people like. But there we go. Maybe I'm just angry at people who don't like change, or specifically don't like the change that they specifically want, and that's just a reflection on my general anger at the world. But yeah, buggy bikes. Thought it was a fun joke. Didn't mind it. Anyone here particularly annoyed by the buggy bikes this week?
Not at all.
No, I loved them. I thought they were so funny.
So
I want them to
I'm
be.
pretty
Are they going
sure
to stay in
Zwift,
game? Sorry, Greg.
no, yeah, Zwift did not come in, take my bike, and give me a big wheels. So yeah, no, I was okay with the pixels changing on the game.
Are they going to stay in game? That's what I want to know, because if there's a stupid bike to ride up Alp to Zwift, we all know that Brian will take it on at some point. So I'm looking forward to next Alp to Zwift, seeing Brian Sultana on the buggy bike if it's still in game.
So actually, he was going to do that after the team time trial on, but the kookaburras attempted to kill him, so he decided not to.
I do love the mentality, and maybe it's an Australian thing, because there is something about, oh, I'm just going to do this afterwards. So I remember when James beautifully in his wonderful way decided to put Von Top in one of the Herd Summer Racing Leagues last year. Ben Poynton deciding that was a good day to ride down it and then carry on and do 100. Was it 100 kilometers or 100 miles? Anyway, some stupid amount of cycling.
No, it was actually it's one of the French 60k routes. So he did the 60k route and then decided to like go all the way up Ventop, all the way back down, so he could do 100 kilometers.
Australians.
They're a very strange breed of character.
They are. They'll probably tell us the same way. So let's wrap this up then, folks. What's coming up next week, James? What have we got on various herd events next week?
So next week, on Monday in the Stampede individual time trial, we've got 2 laps of TikTok, which is about 36k. Bullseye, our points race, we've got 18 laps of Downtown Dolphin, which will be about 38 kilometers. And what we've all been looking for is the Summer Racing League big foothills with God knows how many primes. There are lots. There are sprints. There are many climbs.
Is this going to break Zwift Power? How many weeks later am I going to get my result on Zwift Power where I find out I've won no primes and have scored 3 points?
Oh, big foothills is going to be brilliant. There's so many primes. It's going to be awesome. Brilliant.
Well, thanks very much for, as ever, joining me so I don't drink on my own like an alcoholic. And thanks, James.
Thank you very much.
He's going to leave me in silence there. Thanks, Becca.
Thanks.
Thanks, Craig.
Yeah.